All right, I'm making one last follow up to the mental health one before I go to bed. So I'm not looking like my best self because tomorrow I'm setting up the new set that I'm going to use to write and do all the editing on, and also just general work on, and then it'll look a lot prettier around. No more blank wall, hopefully. And I just wanted to go on about how the main thing is that you have to think about what the labels are. So when someone says, I am bipolar, or I have delusions, or I'm manic, there's so many people like that. You know, there's so many. And so anyone who works with those people is going to have stories about bad things those people did. If you talk to a lawyer, you're going to hear stories about crazy clients. And if you talk to a therapist, you're going to hear stories about crazy clients, crazy patients. And that's all it is. But therapists, usually out of self interest or just something else, will often try to make that into reality, that label that's nothing more than a bipolar predicts certain behavior, but not criminal behavior. In order to predict criminal behavior before it happens, you got to be you got to do an assessment, and you got to have a pretty specific narrow set of diagnoses. It's a pretty hard thing to do. So, I mean, the idea is that someone who's more likely to hurt someone else shouldn't have a certain privilege. And then there should have to be proof that you are more likely to hurt someone else. Because mentally ill people aren't. This whole channel, I've made another video for the podcast. It's for the podcast. My podcast is just going to be dumped with fully edited crap all at once, with like all the episodes just full and good and perfect. It's going to take me probably until like the beginning of the year, but I'll release a couple until then on my podcast up on my podcast. But the point is that I talk about how you shouldn't be afraid of mentally ill people, you know, especially if you're only judging over like electronic mediums, you know. So yeah, and therapists are more likely to do it, not less. Psychiatrists are the ones you want to listen to. They are the ones you should listen to. Or therapists, behavioral therapists that have a PhD. But if they're not MDs, if they don't have a medical degree, then they're not doctors. So yeah.